Hey guys, welcome to Anfield Index Pro. It is the season review. We have some special guests, and today I am delighted to be joined by the host of Rival Recon podcast. I'm sure he had great joy covering this season. Some great games, some great guests on that show as well. But it is the main man of the show. It's Mr. Hari Sethi. Hari, welcome to the show.
Yeah, no, good to be here. Good to be here. Always good to extend the celebrations of what a wonderful season. And I'm not letting much sort of dampen the joy a little bit. So I think any reminders I can get that we're still able to sort of keep celebrating the win. And yeah, again, going back and having a look at some of the questions you were asking me as well. Excited to go back over it because there's never enough times.
No, there isn't. There really isn't. And what was I going to say? It's really fascinating because, Hari, you have been hosting this show almost as long as I've been doing like the ex Nina Kauser show, and we've had some dreadful seasons. So,
Yeah.
especially like thrilled and delightful people like you, and obviously Gags as well, who's been doing the Gags Tandem show. So, let me kind of take you back. Jurgen Klopp, that final game of the season against Wolves, where he kind of did the whole farewell thing, kind of unofficially announced Arne Slot as the manager with that chant. So I want to get your thoughts on just the whole, the emotion of, oh my God, he's actually leaving, to Arne Slot coming in. How surprised were you, Hari? What were your expectations, more importantly, and how surprised are you that he's done it 20 times now?
Yeah, no, I think the emotion after with Klopp's departure, was very upset for a while. I think Dave and Trev and some other contributors to AI were, I think, trying to sort of shake me out of it a little bit, saying, "Come on, these things happen. You got to move on." But no, I was quite upset. Yeah, I think he's such a father figure to everybody at the club, Klopp, and joining us at the time in which he did, and transforming the club in so many ways. And I think we'll probably come on to talk about the way in which the season ends up playing out. I don't think there could be any higher kind of compliment to the fact that Klopp has made the right choice at the right time and did what was best for the club and the club's health, really. So, but what did I think? Arne Slot. I'll admit, I knew nothing of Arne Slot. I'd never watched Arne Slot. It wasn't a name that was on my radar. Of course, I think Amorim, who's obviously taken the United job, was kind of linked initially. Again, knew quite little about him as well. I mean, I hadn't really allowed myself to think about other managers for a while. I was in a relationship. We were all in a relationship with Jurgen.
Absolutely. Didn't want to do it.
No, exactly. So apart from Chabby, I mean, I think I probably allowed myself to visualize that kind of romantic path with Chabby Alonso. But no, so when Slot comes in, my expectations. I thought I was still quite bullish. I wasn't quite Cy Brundish bullish in terms of thinking we're going to win the league and having that kind of confidence that he always has. But I thought the side was a good side, a good squad, and I felt like, to Jurgen's point, right? I mean, at a certain point, the same voice gets less out of a group of players. Could a new voice, just a fresh set of ideas, get these players, to reach a higher level? But then, because I didn't really know much about his pedigree and who's this guy turning up, is he really going to? Is his message going to resonate with the players like that? So was a little bit doubtful in that sense. But then also the fact that we didn't end up, doing anything in the transfer market. Chiesa comes in really late. That midfield position, we tried again, failed again to try and get that holding midfielder in with the Zubamendi chase. And so I think that was a concern to me as well, because it had been such an obvious area of weakness for us in previous seasons. So I was thinking, okay, it's a new manager. We've not given him anybody in the transfer window. That's a bit harsh now. Not giving him any kind of support. And I think that probably dampened my expectations a little bit, thinking maybe, okay, top four, or I mean, I don't rate Arsenal, so I was still thinking that we could do top two, top three, but I didn't think that we'd be able to sustain, a real title challenge, or that we'd have enough in us really to actually to go and do what we did and do it in such a emphatic fashion in the end. So yeah, I wasn't back to doubters, if we go back to sort of the whole doubters to believers thing, but there was plenty of reason to doubt that Liverpool could have done what they ended up doing.
Yeah, he got free pass for me this season, Harry. I was like, I know nothing about him. I don't want to be a knee-jerk reactionary kind of supporter. Let him just do what he needs to do. Maybe we do fall a little on the side, a little, those were my kind of expectations. Even when we were kind of winning and we were in that really good period when we kind of beat Real Madrid and Man City. I mean, it was a really good moment to be a Liverpool supporter, in that little period, well, the whole season, but that period where I should have been really cocky and confident, but I was still like, no, this is awesome, but I just need to watch myself, because anything can happen. But what a fantastic season. So Slot really impressed. You kind of spoke about and you highlighted the lack of activity in the transfer window. So, Slot had the core of Jurgen Klopp players. So in your opinion, Harry, I mean, there were probably a fair few that impressed and some that really, really stood up, to the test and what it took to be champions. But if you could pick one where you think, oh no, it was his season. He's the reason. He's a defining player for it. For me, like 2020, it was Sadio Mane. We were a great team, but for me, I always attribute a lot of that to what Sadio Mane did. But your thoughts on this season? Who was your star player?
I think it's kind of a tough question because I mean, if I think about who won as the league, you can't look too much further than Mo Salah, right? I mean, he did the business, he did it again, he created for the others as well. He probably created a whole bunch of chances they didn't end up taking as well. He'd won us the league by Christmas, effectively. So much so that he could not go off the boil, but not reach those same heights for the sort of the latter few months of the season. I think when it comes to Mo, when it comes to Virgil, it comes to Ali, they are Liverpool greats, and I think we've gotten accustomed to sort of taking their greatness for granted at times. We shouldn't do that. I think what Salah's doing and what Salah's doing at this age in this league, where it's harder than ever, I think is incredibly impressive in the way in which he stood up and put it on his shoulders. And people talk about those social media posts end of last season when Jurgen left, and I think it's pretty clear if you read between the lines that a huge amount of respect, huge amount of affection between Salah and Jurgen. But I think Slot's mentality and Slot's kind of view of Liverpool, maybe especially now, is more aligned with kind of how Mo feels. Right? It wasn't really about collecting relationships for Mo. It was like, and I don't mean this to sort of denigrate Jurgen, but like Mo's a winner, right? Mo's like, and you want people like that in your squad who are furious when you draw against Man United, because you should be furious when you draw against Man United. When you don't win, when someone doesn't finish off a chance, when that's the kind of desire and standard setting that I think probably helps us attract the likes of Florian Wirtz and some of these other signings. Right, you're coming into a club where that culture exists. So I think we shouldn't look past Mo. He is a bit of an obvious one, but I think one of the biggest surprises for me this season has to be Grav, in terms of, we spoke about concerns that midfielder didn't come in, and it became pretty clear in pre-season, okay, maybe we're going to try Grav in that position. And, I spoke to plenty of people when we signed Grav, did some transfer pods at the time with some Dutch football experts and kind of covered him and his talent, his promise. But let's face it, he'd shown nothing to us to indicate he could make that sort of jump, and also nothing in his career prior to Liverpool to suggest he could play that kind of specific role in the system and do it and be expected to start every single game. So I think even though he, again, I think kind of faded as the season went on, just because he was being asked to play every single minute, every single game, starting every single game, I think the way in which he stepped up, especially in the first half of the season, which I think is where we won the league, I think you have to give him a huge plaudits, right? No one had any idea that he had this level, this consistency in him, and I think he was obviously one of the revelations of the season. Wins Young Player of the season, and that was it, the Football Writers Awards or something like that, or maybe it was the Players, the PFA Awards. But yeah, incredibly impressive to do what he did, and set the tone, early on in terms of a position that was potentially like an area of weakness for us quickly became an area that we saw other sides adapting to, like so much so that he couldn't do that kind of receive and spin and drive move that he kept doing in the first few games because it was so effective for us. So I think Gravenberch deserves a huge amount of credit as well. Although I think probably the guy who won as the league was Mo Salah. I know the other attackers as well. We'll mention them as the pod goes on, but yeah, I think Grav for sure probably my surprise of the season.
Amazing. I think those are the kind of players that people have been gravitating towards as well, Harry, with regards to Mosla. I think it's an obvious choice. And I think Gravenberch has been getting a lot of love because I think he surprised so many people. I mean, there was talk about him at the beginning of the season that he might be a potential exit. Will he be loaned out? So for him to kind of have this complete turnaround and, where people are kind of like taking him a bit more serious. And yeah, towards the end of the season, I'd say he tailed off, but I think it's because he just played so many games that I don't think he was used to it. And the whole team looked quite fatigued as well. So you can't really just pinpoint him or highlight him in that. Okay, so you spoke about your favourite player. What was your favourite moment of the season? I've enjoyed this question because I have had so many responses and they've been so diverse. Just for reference, Harry, my favourite moment of the season was the first picture of Arne Slot, when he's kind of holding his hip and he's like arching his back. And every time Liverpool won, that kind of got recycled on social media. That was one of my favourite moments. So how could we question this guy's aura? That has been one of my highlights of the season, just seeing that picture and just like absolutely just bellow with laughter. So yeah, it's been quite diverse. So what has been your moment? It could be football related, it could be social media related, it could be something on a podcast for you as well.
Yeah, no, it's I think I've been thinking purely on the pitch, but when you mention it like that, there are some moments, right? And the Arne Slot, like Real Housewives of something pose like that he did, incredible, unbelievable, like so happy. Because if it had gone wrong, like we would have seen that same photo over and over again in a negative context. So yeah, super happy that we could just thrust that, we could just put that in people's faces every time we won. Is like this guy like masterminded it. So yeah, happy about that. I liked the Arne Slot penitentiary that came out pretty after every win. A new manager added to just that ridiculous Kylian Mbappe awful kind of like video. I enjoyed that like very much, seeing people get added to the penitentiary. All the AI generated images of Slot like with a cigar, and I think I enjoyed seeing other fans, United fans, going like, "There's only room for one bold Dutch, manager in this league," and they were right. There is only room for one, and it's Arne Slot. And I think I enjoyed that. I enjoyed all the Schadenfreude. I always enjoyed that. I mean, everybody wrote us off. No one had any real confidence Liverpool were going to do this. So I think I did take a lot of satisfaction, especially like doing the rivalry pods week in, week out, like having these chats, seeing the difference between certain clubs' kind of expectations and then reality, especially Arsenal for one. Like people will know from listening to my shows and listening to Raw. Grew up in North London, have a lot of Arsenal fans in my family, and like the silence. One of my favorite moments. One of my favorite moments of the season, just the silence in the WhatsApp chat. Nothing mentioned by various Arsenal fans throughout the entire season. Got a bit bullish ahead of the games we played them, less bullish afterwards. So I think those moments for sure. But on the pitch, I think Mac's goal against Spurs. I think just the let off in the ground, but also just by watching it, like where I was, huge, right? I think we'd known for quite some time that we were going to win the league, but I think something about the fact that we went behind, not surprised at all, equalised, and then whenever there's a thunder bastard or someone just rifles it into the top, it always feels good. Mac is a really important player for us this season, and I just felt like everybody had a sort of mass exhale at that point, right? That was it. We weren't going to mess this up. We were going to really do it in emphatic style, and so I think that one for me. I enjoyed Mo's selfie as well. I think that was a pretty iconic moment from him. Darwin's double against Brentford. I think I'm sure that's come up just because, again, when it comes
nearly
to
got sent off as well. We nearly got the full Darwin experience.
I do remember that. Yeah, I covered it on Raw. I remember like that I mentioned that he'd 2 goals and like should have been sent off for for a second yellow. It just if he is to move on, I will miss the full Darwin chaos agent experience. But he will leave, but he'll have some of those moments, right? It feels like he's had loads of those moments where the goals that he scores and the passion that he celebrates with, everyone can get on board with that. So I think, given where we were at the season at that time, given Arsenal had kind of closed the gap a little bit, or they were threatening to close the gap, that brace from him, especially considering his form, I think, huge moment. I think watching that as well. Then I think in person, I went to the Brighton game at home, and that was one where I thought we were outplayed in the first half. I thought Brighton were so excellent, really struggling to sort of live with them. Made some changes at halftime, and just something about, again, the emphatic nature of that finish from Mo, going and it being the end, the kind of sort of finishing touches to a counter attack, Liverpool of old. Really quick counter-attack, classic Mo Salah cutting in on his left, Iron Robin kind of, okay, you know what happens next, but you can't stop it. I think that felt really good, obviously being there, but the ground really erupted when that one went in. So I think those are probably some of my favorite moments of the season. But I think an honorable mention, I think, has to be for, you mentioned social media stuff. I think one of the other great things about the season was just how united everybody seemed to be. And I think the Chiesa song being created and then seeing it become what it's become, and even on that, when we end up winning the title and celebrating on the pitch, and just seeing a guy who's barely played, but he gets his medal, clearly loved by the squad. The song is, some players who've been here for years and contributed so much more don't get songs. And I think seeing that let off, seeing him celebrate with the Premier League trophy, surrounded by, again, mobbed by fans, was mobbed by the teammates rather, was a really big moment. And also, like, honorable mention for sure, the Van Dijk celebrating with Alan Hansen as well at the end of the season, for me, spoke volumes about, he's such a classy guy and gets the club. And I think just having those two kind of like captains, 2 title-winning captains of 2 similar players, in terms of how they approach the game, standing there, I thought just tons of respect, and a moment that Hansen really deserved, considering everything he's been through as well. So all that, the contract renewals too, those are moments of the season. And Mo's didn't he hair transplant, and haircut in general. I enjoyed that. I enjoyed the arrow celebration.
Just out of curiosity, did he or didn't he? I'm saying he did.
I think he did. I think he did. Yeah, and I think that's I think casual little trip to Turkey. There's been some doubts about it because he posted a photo today. It's his birthday today, and it looks like it could be receding again. I think it's just the angle, but no, really liked the change of look from Mo, and I think him doing selfies with everybody after every single game as well was another nice kind of touch. I always kind of checked to see what he was doing, as well as Ibu Konate's post-match kind of anime reference. So there's so many things to pick out.
I think Harry's clean sweeps everything. He's picked all the moments there. He's not left an awful lot. I will give you a little spoiler though, Harry. You talked about hair transplant. Don't be alarmed if you see Mo Salah with a fresh set of teeth.
Oh.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying, I'm just taking a make, because obviously people go.
Oh, okay, good.
Turkey as well, don't they? So
Yeah.
I mean, it's easy to find, but who knows? People.
As long as he doesn't go to Bobby and Jurgen's
Oh
guy,
gosh.
because
Oh my gosh. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Let's not go then. Let's not do that. Okay. So you've kind of picked the entire season as your moment of the season. You've even wiped up social media as well. I've enjoyed that. You've actually recapped some stuff that I forgot. So much appreciated. I'm sure the listeners would really like that as well. In your opinion, Harry, which match do you think symbolised Liverpool as being champions? Like, if there was a performance where you thought that's the stuff of champions, like if you could pick one game, go for it.
Yeah, no. So I was thinking about this because obviously, like with the show, covering every single Premier League game, and I mean, I guess there were quite a few that you could pick out in terms of. I think the theme of the season was better in the second half, tactical changes, doing enough. I think, and doing it in a different way. But I think a different way than we're used to as Liverpool fans, certainly under Klopp. So, but I think the game that actually I landed on was City away, just because we think about City away, how difficult it's been for Liverpool in recent seasons. Even the best Liverpool sides we've seen over the last 5-6 years have found it hard, and especially in the league. The Jurgen's record wasn't terribly great there, and of course, like context of City being diminished and like them going through their struggles this season, but I think the reason why it stood out to me was there's so many different ways in which I thought Liverpool would need to play in order to win at City. And in the past, you kind of thought it has to be full throttle. We have to give it absolutely everything. We have to blow them away. That's the only way that we're going to be able to beat City away. You have to really kind of blow them away. Almost like how we started the Anfield game, actually. It was really aggressive, really probably higher pressing than we'd seen Liverpool do all season, actually. But I think it was getting to 60, 70 minutes in that game, and we'd approached it so differently to, I think, how lots of Liverpool fans thought we were going to approach that game. Measured, methodical, kind of controlled, efficient, not, getting the goals, getting ahead, and then just keeping them at arm's length and sort of knowing that they didn't have the ability to hurt us. We've not seen Liverpool do that, and certainly against City, our main rivals for this period of time. So I think that one for me really summed it up, just because I think it epitomized Slot in terms of his approach, right? We're used to Jurgen and what he would have tried to maybe do against City, and of course he tried different things, but Slot going there and adopting that approach and being kind of hesitant at points and just like more controlled and not going for their throat, but just picking the moments, picking them off, and doing enough. Really, you get to the end of the game and go, 2-0 away to City. Not tons happened in that game, but we sort of kept them at arm's length and just Liverpool doing enough. And I think that kind of symptomatic of this season. And you're even seeing players who've been involved in the previous Klopp sides, full throttle, heavy metal sides. I suppose they were realizing it too. At that stage, like, just, come here, follow the manager's tactics, works out nicely. And I think that one for me really summed it up. There's other games I can think of that really I'll think back to when I think about this season. And I think the second game of the season against United is one of those. Doing that so early in Slot's tenure, doing it in that kind of fashion, I think for the players as well would have been a really important one for the manager, like to actually sort of like point to this and go, there you go. I dismantled Man United away. I then did a post-match interview where I told the rest of the league how to beat Eric Ten Hag's United as well. But no, for me on the pitch, I think City away for me was the one that encapsulated this Liverpool side.
I think it's been highlighted a fair bit. I highlighted that one as well, but for me, it was for the next question, because when Liverpool actually beat Man City, and they did it in such a cool, calm, composed manner at the Etihad the day before, Arsenal, who were dead-on favourites of certain to beat West Ham, you'd assume, on a 3:00 kickoff, and lost it. And then obviously, I would just like, if Liverpool get a draw here, it's really cool. It'll be awesome if Liverpool just get a draw. But for Liverpool to kind of know we're going to embark on your loss and we're going to take the full 3 points. For me, that was for me the moment where I was like, I quietly confident that we're going to win the league. So my question to you now, Harry, was there a game where at what point in the season did you think, yep, Liverpool are winning the league? Was there a game?
Yes, I think that week where we beat Real Madrid and City in the same week, I didn't think then, but I was getting very bullish at that point. I was getting difficult to live with. Like it's getting much more cocky, much cockier, and
blocked you.
I was getting arrogant in the group chat. Yeah, it was like, yeah, which is not like me at all. I'm usually I just wait. I bide my time. Or yeah, actually, with Arsenal fans, all you have to do is wait, really, and then you eventually get a chance to revel. But no, I think for me, actually, I think I have to give the technically right answer here because when I thought we were going to win the league was when I booked tickets. So there was a moment where I booked tickets, travel and like accommodation to go up to Liverpool for the final game of the season, for like with me and my dad, and we went to go see that final game and then the parade. And I was looking back, I was like, okay, when did I book this? Because that was kind of the moment where I must have just been feeling like this is going to happen. And it was I think it was the 29th of December. So we'd beaten Tottenham 6-3, we'd beaten Leicester 3-1, and then we'd smashed West Ham 5-0. And I think that was the 29th of December when that happened. Yeah. And let's face it, it's Christmas. I probably had some sort of glass or something in my hand as well. I was probably feeling even more kind of self-assured because of all of that, maybe. But yeah, maybe it was bravado, whatever it was. But I think at that stage I was thinking, no, this is enough that I'm going to book this. I think this is doable. And come on, Liverpool. I've seen many Liverpool sides go to West Ham and batter West Ham because West Ham are rubbish. But I think it was the combination of those three games in that like kind of condensed period of time, a difficult time of the season it has been for many sides and for Liverpool in the past. And we were just pushing ahead. And we looked to have so much firepower as well at that stage. So I think that point right at the end of last year was for me when I think technically that's when I believed that we were gonna win the league. Having said that, doing these rivalry con shows, week in, week out, still the hoodoo, like the PTSD of previous seasons until it was done. I didn't believe it was going to happen. So it took probably Mac's goal against Spurs was when something, probably any lingering doubt, not that there was much at that stage, finally went. Just because we've not seen it. Not in my lifetime, I've not seen Liverpool win the league. Yes, 2020, but winning the league with fans and winning the league in this fashion, so far ahead, so controlled. So, but no, I think it's probably end of 2024 when I made some of those gambles, and those gambles paid off, obviously.
Yeah, confident. I mean, I had Jack on, who does the watch along on Anfield Index, and I asked him the same question. He was at first game of the season. I mean, you do realise that you are going to be harassed and bombarded now when you do your first watch along. Like, what are your feelings? But yeah, I'm loving the confidence at different stages for people. Mine was
Ipswich away was when Jack's claiming that he.
The first game of the season. The first game of the season. So you know what you need to do, Harry and everyone. First game of the season, everyone needs to harass Jack and say what's the feeling.
I want listeners to dig out the tweets, dig out the doubt. Yeah, come on. I think we can find the receipts on Jack here. I'm pretty sure that it wasn't the first game of the season.
I mean, I love it. So he just goes, I just had this quiet confidence. Maybe everyone does go into the new season like that. Yeah, we're going to win the league. I used to do that when I was a kid and I was a bit deluded, but I don't do that anymore. I just think, let's just kind of.
I think definitely got to mention the the Brentford goals as well, right? I think those kind of moments where you end up winning a game like that. Yes. I think of Sadio's late header against Villa in the past. Like those moments, they mean a lot. The Brighton game I already mentioned where I was there, turning games around like that. That's the sign of champions, right? So
the Fulham game as well. The Fulham game got a lot of highlights as well. You know, with Robbo getting sent off and obviously Liverpool pulling it back in that fashion, given the fact that we were 10. Things that kind of were unnoticed. Got honourable mentions, which again I appreciate. People view the game differently, see things differently. Yeah, that was a personal one for a lot of people. But yeah,
the Fulham one. Sorry, yeah, the Fulham one. I definitely hear what people say. I think that one for me was more kind of a realization, if I hadn't realized already, is that this manager's like, okay, this guy's a very tactically astute manager to have approached a situation where we were down to 10 men like that and then dominate the game like we did. I think that was a realization for me. Not that we were going to win the league, but okay, this is yes, it's Fulham, I know, but this is a serious player in the dugout.
Yeah, I agree. For me, it was when we lost to Nottingham Forest and the way he wouldn't let it go. I was like, we're on to something here. He took it so personal. I was like, can you please stop? Because you keep reliving old horrible memories for me. But it was the fact that he won't let it go, which was when the penny dropped for me that this guy, even though I knew nothing about him, he clearly takes losing really personal. And I like that personally. And obviously, you've alluded to it. He's very competitive. You like that edge that he has, very comparable to Mo Salah. So, Harry, this season, Slot, I don't think he really fancied his bench an awful lot. There was only certain players that he kind of trusted, ran them into the ground, but it kind of paid off. There were some that he started to trust towards the end. Who do you think was your unsung hero of the season? A player that should get more love, but doesn't really.
I don't know how unsung he is at this stage, but I think maybe I'm not talking about in the Liverpool fan base, but I think people should be waxing lyrical on a regular basis about Szoboszlai and McAllister. Really, I mean, Grav obviously got a lot of the headlines for the right reasons and for his massive improvement, stepping up when he needed to. But I think for a lot of the season, I remember seeing Dom get quite a lot of criticism from certain corners for there not being assists or goals but I think when you think about how this team works and think about for all the tactical stuff that we saw from Slot this season, the thing he mentioned more often than not, like when I think people in post-match conferences would be, oh, what changed? How did you turn things around? I think he'd always mention running, right? He'd always just mention running and we forgot to run, or we thought we didn't have to run. And I think when it comes to running, there is no better player to focus on than Szoboszlai. I think he works his butt off for the team, often like selfless, thankless runs at times. And I think it was really good to sort of see him start to get recognized more and more. But I don't necessarily think people across the league really appreciate just how much of a generational athlete he is, as well as a talent on the ball, because we don't see all the tools on the ball because he's often doing so much work. So I'm excited for next season to sort of see whether that changes a little bit as we add the likes of Florian Wirtz to the side and maybe tighten up things a little bit. But yeah, him, McAllister, I think, there's not enough words spoken about just how phenomenal a player he is. I think he made that Liverpool midfield tick when he wasn't there. We looked less assured, I think, even with the other two playing so well. He's the brains of that midfield. Multiple big goals, multiple big moments. He stood up, and so I think him as well. But unsung, I mean, Mo and Virgil, I want to mention them just because they're not unsung, but I think we do get accustomed to greatness, and I think we sometimes just, not with Mo, but with Virgil probably, I think we just take it for granted at times, just what he's doing. And he's a leader in every sense of the word. But I've mentioned a couple of players. I'm doing the same thing where I try and cheat and mention a bunch of people. But I reckon as well, the Diaz and Gakpo kind of purple patches at a certain point in the season that helped Mo, like gave Mo that support. That if we're honest, that probably was the stage where we won the league. And I think obviously Mo is the one who ends up on the pitch with all the awards at the end of the season. But I think even though I think Dan Kennett's mentioned this a bunch of times, that you look at the stats and you compare Bobby, Mane, Mo, the best attacks we've had, to what Diaz, Gakpo, and Mo did this season, and it stands up. And it might not feel that way because I think we have kind of a different kind of attachment to those three. But I think, Diaz and Gakpo deserve a lot of credit for the way in which they stepped up a level, I think. Certainly Diaz as well, especially when we didn't have a number 9 that was doing the business week in, week out. So I think those guys, they're not unsung. People give them credit, but I think how important the role they played, I think, in the season might get sort of like forgotten a little bit because there's so much focus on Mo. There's so much focus on Virgil, and Queven deserves honourable mention as well.
He does indeed, and he does indeed. Came in at a really, really tough period as well. You've highlighted some players there. You spoke about the strikers and the attack. You kind of mentioned Verts as well. So, my next question to you, Harry, is we've got to look to the future. I know we kind of reviewed the season, but we need to look to the future. So, in your opinion, what do you think Liverpool should do and will do in the transfer window? I'm actually really enjoying this summer. I think there's a matter of time with certain players. Frimpong's over. I think it's just a matter of Verts. I just think we're just kind of waiting on I think it's pretty much done. Kirkes as well. I think that one looks pretty much nailed from the noise that we're hearing from the ITK and this. Yeah. But let's just hope and him as well. So, what more sort of business can you see Liverpool doing? What would you like?
Yeah, I guess kind of all bets are off a little bit, right? We're just because of how we're operating. We spoke before we recorded that this feels new as well. We've not seen Liverpool act quite like this in a window. Well, for a long time, I think you can definitely pinpoint back to the early Michael Edwards, Klopp days that we were acting ruthlessly and efficiently when it comes to like things like Frimpong or things like Kirkes, or finding the right player, the right profile, no injury history, like players that came in and kind of you could just see, that's a perfect fit. It fits. So I think that we've seen before, but we've not seen Liverpool do what they're doing with Florian Wirtz. And I think persuading someone like that to come to Liverpool as opposed to Bayern Munich, as opposed to Man City, as opposed to Real Madrid, who are all interested, all pushing. Spoke to multiple different managers. It was Arne Slot who ends up convincing him that this is the right place for him. I think that really shows you where the club is, and it's probably the biggest testament to the work that Jurgen did rebuilding the club to get them to this stage where the world's elite talent. We're talking top 5, top 6 player in Europe. Is looking at the clubs and thinking, "No, Liverpool's the place for me for my prime years." So that I say all that to say, because it means that who knows what we can do next. There's all sorts of rumors, rumbling around. Are we talking to Isak? Who are we talking to? I'm seeing rumors about strikers waiting. Let me just wait, see what Liverpool do if they sell Darwin, if they sell Diaz. Maybe my name comes up, so I'm not going to commit to anywhere else first, just so Liverpool. That option's still available. You're hearing about players wanting nobody else but Liverpool. Like that, almost the Van Dijk line. It was always Liverpool. I love that. I love seeing players wait and go, "No, actually, I'm not going to rush into anything just because I might get a chance to play for Liverpool." So, I think in terms of what we need to do, the signing of Wirtz complicates it a little bit, because maybe now you're thinking that we won't go for the same profile of centre forward we would have done beforehand, but I think everybody expects Darwin to move on. So if he moves on, and there's obviously lots of rumours around Diaz, you'd expect us to get another forward in as well who can contribute to the attack. I think a centre back as well, I think is likely the business that we need to do. Someone for the rotation. Quanta's linked with a move away. maybe to Leverkusen. And I think Konate did excellently this season, but I think we need to find somebody else who can rotate with him, give him a break. We are going to need to think about giving Virgil a break at some point, because he's not getting any younger. And if we want to get the very best out of him, we are going to have to think about whether he needs a rotation option as well. So a centre back, I can see that being high on the list. Left back, we already kind of know, as you mentioned, sort of Kerkez is. Yeah, we don't need ITKs. Kerkez is telling us, has told us for months that seemingly he wants to join Liverpool. So I think the left back will be coming in. I don't think we'll sign a midfielder. I'm not necessarily sure about that. I wonder if it's giving us too much work to do in one window. But if we get rid of Endo, if he decides to move on, perhaps we make a move for another defensive-minded destroyer as well. I think I did the transfer committee podcast with Dan and Dave and Mo a few weeks ago, and we chose. Who did we choose? We chose Diamande, the centre back. We chose Barrenechea, this is an Argentinian midfielder, because we were spending big on. I think was it. Did we spend big on Alvarez? Can't remember if we spoke. If we went for Julian Alvarez in the end, and then another backup striker. So we did backup striker, midfielder, and centre back, and those are all positions that we haven't even touched on yet, right? So I think we're seeing this new ruthless, not new, but kind of familiar ruthless approach from Liverpool again. Very early, very proactive, and so I think the deals that we have probably planned for a very long time, that's what we're seeing done now. Frimpong, Kerkez, Wirtz. I think the next deals that we do will be dependent on outgoings and how successful we are with sales. But I think we're not done, and everybody else seems to be. All the reliable journalists seem to be hinting that Liverpool are not done, and they're looking for to bolster the attack further. So I think we could see maybe nothing as spectacular as Florian Wirtz, but a centre back and maybe another attacker coming in as well. I think is that wouldn't surprise me.
No, exciting stuff. Watch this space. Harry, before I let you go, one final question. Can Liverpool win the league again and the Champions League because they're greedy?
Yeah, I think. I mean, I was thinking, do I go bullish on this, or do I sit on the fence? And I think what I'll say is I think we are the side to beat going into next season, which is not something we've said very often about Liverpool, right? I think with these reinforcements, with the activity we're doing the transfer window, with it being Slot's second season, the learnings he would have taken, with us having the full kind of 6 weeks of preseason with these players, they're not going to that stupid competition that's happening in the US at the moment. They're being able to rest, getting the signings in early, getting that tactical work as a team done early. Everything's aligning very nicely. There is AFCON. There is some stuff for us to bear in mind in that sense. But no, we're the team to beat for sure. I think we go in as favourites. Everybody else is in. You know, if we're kind of locked in a prison, everyone's in there with us, right? I think that's the way it is. We're the ones that are going to have to be. It's our grip on the title that people are going to have to sort of prize away. So that's kind of a cheat's way of not answering. Are we going to win the league or not? But I think we're in an incredible position to do so again. Champions League. Yeah, I think why not? I think when I look at how we did this season, I think Slot will definitely. Another learning is, turns out the group phase or the league phase is not necessarily worth doing quite as well in as we did, because if it gets you that kind of draw, maybe we'll have better luck next season. Just not drawing the strongest side in the competition. And also when I look at that matchup against PSG, I think it informs a lot of what we're going to see next season. The players we've gone after in the transfer market. You know, one thing we've definitely gone after is pace, and I think we saw against PSG. It's not very often you look at a side that's playing Liverpool and think they're outworking us. Like they're outworking us. They're faster than us. That's not something that we're accustomed to with Liverpool, certainly under Klopp. So I think we've learned that lesson. We're bolstering our ranks with pace, with creativity and Wirtz, like maybe with more firepower, like we alluded to. I think we're we're padding out the squad so that if we came up against the likes of PSG or someone like that next season, we can go toe to toe with them. Like there's no worrying about we have to be a bit cautious because we don't have the pace here, or can we really go and fight fire with fire? We can fight fire with fire if we get these players in and get the preseason right. So yeah, you always need a bit of luck for the Champions League, always. But I don't see any reason why we can't go and win it. And I think, as you mentioned, Slot, those losses and how sort of personally he kind of takes them. I think he'll have that in mind, having won the league in his first season, the pressure off for that a little bit. So maybe a focus on Europe. And Salah, maybe the pendulum switches back to the Champions League. He says he wants to win that every single season. He changed his mind this season. It was like, no, I want the league actually as my priority. And maybe Salah's, let's see what happens with the Ballon d'Or. Maybe Salah thinks, okay, what I have to do to win the Ballon d'Or is win the Champions League with Liverpool. So maybe that gives us extra impetus to win it. But yeah, there's no reason why we can't win both of those competitions, given the business that we're doing, the health of the club, and also what everyone else is doing. I've not seen other moves from other clubs that have me worried at the moment, right? Like something like Wirtz from another club, we go, oh, that's a game changer. I don't see that. So yeah, I think we're very well positioned to compete on all fronts.
Here. Couldn't agree more. I'm with you on that one. If he gets those transfers done, he'll have more of a squad to kind of compete in the Champions League as well. Guys, that was Hari Sethi. I hope you enjoyed his answers. I have. A huge thank you to Hari for joining me on this podcast. A huge thank you for you guys who have listened and tuned in, be it on YouTube or on the podcast side. We'll have more guests, no spoilers from me, but guys, take care. Thank you so much for listening and watching. Till next time, take care and up the Reds.